Hello and welcome to the Week 3 Monster Pod presented by TheLines.com. Matt Brown, Steven Anders. Joined this week, Ryan Noonan from 4 for 4 if you haven't checked their stuff out. Philadelphia Eagles on the road at the New Orleans Saints. 2.5 to 3 in this one in favor of the Saints at home. 49.5 is our total. Perhaps the biggest surprise of the short season so far is the New Orleans Saints. Clint Kubiak going to town with that offense so far with the Saints. Ryan, do you buy into what you're seeing so far, or are you looking at it as like, well, it was the Panthers and it was kind of basically like they got up so quickly on the Cowboys that it was, completely changed the game plan and the game got all out of sorts?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? Because we are dying for real information, real games to be played, because we have all these preseason priors that we kind of hammer out for 6 months. And then we get a couple of games and we're dying for that information. We can't properly contextualize it because the opponent really, really, really matters. So some of the Saints stuff is blown up because the Panthers are a pretty terrible football team. I don't think anyone's arguing the other side of that. So it is a little inflated, but I do think there's something to this, right? Like shout out to Clint Kubiak proving that not all Nepo babies are created equal. I think there's something to some of this like pre-snap play action stuff that's such a departure from the just antiquated Pete Carmichael stuff that we've seen in New Orleans for such a long time. They're doing a lot of good things to also protect an offensive line that I still think is a below average unit. But right now they've allowed like the least amount of pressures in the league, the least amount of quick pressures. So pressures under 2.5 seconds. So like they're getting time to work down the field, and they've kind of unlocked Alvin Kamara, who we maybe thought was in the decline, giving Rashid Shaheed more actual snaps and targets deep down the field. Derek Carr, anytime he's been protected, he gets like kind of like a check down Charlie kind of a vibe, but he actually, in terms of like average at the target, he's actually usually one of the top in the league. He'll take shots down the field. And it's a great spot to do it. Philly D really struggling, 29th in yards and points per drive. Not really kind of, clicking on all cylinders. Bad, obviously, finish to what we saw. Everyone's kind of talking about how they played out and made some mistakes, obviously, there at the tail end offensively with how they went for it, didn't go for it, kick a field goal. But like the defense just folded like a cheap shirt. And that's kind of a problem here too. So the Saints defense, especially against the run, has been incredible. 26.8 success rate on the ground has been one of the best in the league. So kind of buying the Saints. I think the over is probably in play here too. Because I think you're going to see some teams going back, these teams going back and forth a little bit. But yeah, I think Saints are nothing for me.
Steven, I do wonder what this line would have been if the Eagles didn't crumble last week. Would be kind of sitting at a pick 'em. Would this be like, one on either side? I don't really know how it would have gone had they been able to close out that game. People not being able to wrap their brain around how horrible a decision that was by Sirianni is just blows my mind. Like where they're defending it and going on and on, where it's like, I don't think people realize that when you leave enough time on the clock, let's call it, anywhere between that minute, just under 2 minutes, all the way to kind of like minute 30, that being up by 6 is almost worse than being up by 3 because you have given the other team plenty of time and the blueprint and game plan exactly as to how to beat you. They are going to get 4 downs every single time. And the result, if they are successful in all of this, is to beat you because they score 7 instead of the 6 that you're up, as opposed to 3, where you might actually get a little bit of conservative play call. You might not, you certainly won't get them going for it on 4th down. If they're inside of field goal range, they kick the field goal, all the different things like that. Like not understanding the situational part of all of this too blows me away, that everyone's like, no, man, you always want to go up 6. And it's like, well, I mean, I understand why maybe in the surface level, you would think you would always want to go up 6. But if you look at the game theory part of it and what you're handing the other team, it is free will to play with their hair on fire for the next minute and a half and go out and try to beat you, as opposed to what they would be doing should it be 3. But regardless, you run the ball, you get the 40 seconds off the clock, and maybe even go for it on 4th down again, depending on how close you are or whatever it is to increase your win probability. You see, you have the access to our power ratings. I had the Eagles 1 heading into the season. I only put them down to 3 heading into this week. I'm not going to overreact to one horrible brain fart that we get from a head coach. I'm still not completely bought in on the Saints. I think they are much better and much higher than I had them. They are the highest mover in my power ratings by far. It's not even close. I was so far down on them that I think that they deserve to be higher and deserve to be where they are. But Just based off of where I'm at and the fact that I'm not willing to move too far off the priors on the Eagles, I had to take the 3 with the Eagles at the field goal. That's just where my numbers add up in all of this, but I do need to see a little bit more life out of this team on the road. That's for sure.
I don't disagree with the market moving the Saints to a top 10 team all of a sudden. I don't disagree with that. Everything that we thought about them coming into the season looks wrong. I mean, the offensive line looks
certainly me.
fine.
I might be the wrongest person in America on this Saints team. Like, I was like so down on them. I was like, hey, they might be the worst team in that division. Like, the Panthers might be better than them. And look where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, the market had them as a bottom 10 team in the league, and now through 2 weeks, the market has them as a top 10 team. And the biggest issue I had was the offensive line, and that clearly has been mitigated. I mean, something about this Kyle Shanahan type offense that really makes it so that if you could have 3, mediocre at best offensive linemen, it doesn't seem to matter. I've been listening to some people. It's something with this outside zone run scheme. It takes pressure off the tackles, apparently. So credit to them. And honestly, Fashanu looks amazing. I mean, he's been one of the, not Fashanu, forgot his name. Sorry. But like the rookie looks incredible. Hasn't allowed a single pressure. So big takeaways for me. Formation wise, they're not running a lot of 11. I mean, 80% of their formations are with either 2 backs or 2 tight ends on the field. And they've been balanced in the play calling when they do that. So it's been really hard for defenses. There's no tendency here on whether they're going to run or pass out of those formations. So credit to them for that, for sure. It's making it very difficult. There's no tipping pre-snap. Obviously the pre-snap and the play action go a long way as well for Derek Carr. So it's really working here. Now the question becomes, what's the right line? Now, Matt, I know you took a stand when you could get 3 on the Eagles, right? You bet the Eagles at +3. And I get that because this was Saints +3 before the result on Monday night. I will argue that before the market reset, we didn't find out that A.J. Brown was definitely not playing in this game until Lisa Salter's sideline report. So that has to be taken into account. And for me, clearly the Eagles defense is a giant red flag at this point. I mean, to me, coming off last year, the pass defense was really bad. It looks really bad again right now. But last week against the Falcons, what was doubly concerning is that they couldn't stop the run either. They gave up more than 5 yards per carry with what's supposed to be a really good defensive line. So I was skeptical with these new coordinators coming in this year. I don't know, man. I think the defense is a giant red flag. I think if you force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball a lot, he's going to make mistakes. So listen, I would never lay 3 with the Saints at this point. I just don't like taking the worst of the number, but I'm sitting on that Saints +3 right now. And I think still under 3 here with how bad the Eagles defense is. I still might be kind of interested.
Yeah. Our 2.5's available out there, and it's, it's better than if you were trying to buy it off of the 3. So if you're interested, definitely do that. Want to thank Ryan Noonan for joining us here. 4 for 4, guys. If you haven't gone over there, check out everything they do over the site. Been one of the staples for me for a very, very long time, as well as Steven. So be sure to go in, take in all the great work that they do over there. And if you are watching this on the YouTube channel, everything we do absolutely free. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and let us know in the comment section how terrible we were at picking some of these games. Like we're always in for the criticisms, and let us know which sides that we're just completely wrong on in all of these things. Appreciate it, guys, and good luck on all your week 3 bets.